Wearable technology with an emphasis on life-assisting and life-saving devices for the elderly is what Simple Wearables is all about. Hong Kong-based entrepreneur Angelo Umali, who also happens to be a certified fitness instructor, founded his company with his frail 92-year-old grandmother in mind, creating devices that function like a remote healthcare service. Simple Wearables is the third business for the UCLA and Stanford graduate, who together with his co-founder Edwin Lee, conceived, designed, and built the system that runs the devices. With his experience and education, he is as familiar with the technical side as he is with the intricacies of building a company from scratch. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-founder and CEO of Simple Wearables, Angelo Umali.
Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. My name is Angelo Umali, founder and CEO of Simple Wearables. I'm going to talk about a very personal story today, about dreams and my struggles and how that led me to Simple Wearables. I'm going to start from the very beginning. It will be a talk about hope, health, and happiness. People who know me well will tell me that I move at a faster pace than expected. When I was born here in Manila, my mom told me I was only 5 pounds, the tiniest of all my siblings. But then she told me I ate so much trying to catch up that by the time I was 3 years old, I was 60 pounds. When I was 4, apparently, I told my mom that I wanted to go to school already. And so we talked to the principal, and the principal said, okay, you go ahead. By the time I was 11, I begged my mom, Mom, I really want to go to high school. I hate grade 7. And so I got in. By the time I got to high school, I caught up with my sister who was 3 years older than me. You bet she didn't like that. I went to the Philippine Science High School. I met people from all walks of life. From daughters of tycoons to sons of farmers, we all were united by one thing. We wanted to use science to improve the Philippines. It was there that I realized that innovators can come from anywhere. It was there I developed a heart for the Philippines. After high school, slides, I got into medical school through the intermediate program at UP. But my father, who was a doctor, said, Anak, huwag ka naman magmadali. Maging engineer ka na lang sa US. Son, don't be such a hurry. Just go take up engineering in the US. It pays more money, and you'll be much happier. And so at 15, I packed up my bags, moved myself on my own to the US, took up electrical engineering at UCLA. One by one, my family moved and immigrated to the United States. Here in the Philippines, we lived pretty comfortably. But in the US, we were struggling. My dad, who was a doctor in the Philippines, couldn't find a job. And my mom, who was an airline executive here, worked 3 jobs so that she could support a family of 5. We stayed with my grandmother in her tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And because the space was so small, we always fought a lot. My dad eventually moved back to the Philippines. And it was my mom and my grandma who helped put 3 children through university. It was a difficult time of our lives. And I was wondering, there must be something more. I want to create jobs that are meaningful jobs so that my mom doesn't have to do this anymore. At UCLA, I fell in love with technology. I was working on next-generation wireless communication systems. That's when I shelved my dreams of becoming a doctor and pursued a job in Silicon Valley, working at the forefront of wireless technology. 10 years ago, we helped define what LTE is today. We helped analyze all the different types of radar, satellites, and communication systems around the world. And this company was the original Hewlett-Packard before they became a computer company. I learned a lot about these two men. Hewlett and Packard went to Stanford, and they were the ones that helped start what Silicon Valley is today. I surmised that, hey, I want to build the Philippines version of Silicon Valley as well. Maybe if I went to that school, I'll find out what happened. And so I did. I went to Stanford University. I got my master's degree in electrical engineering. I was so amazed at how everyone had an idea and built a company around it. It was at Stanford that I realized that ideas could change the world. After graduate school, I moved to Hong Kong because my company moved me there to manage the Asia-Pacific region. I worked hard, I learned a lot of things. But after 3 years, I was still half the age of the next youngest coworker. My advisor told me, you're going too fast for your own good. But for me, I wanted to do something bigger. And so I quit. I went on my own and I faced an uncertain future. I planned on living off my savings for a year until I figured out what I wanted to do. Living off your savings is scary because your bank account just keeps going down. But it forced me to move as fast as I could, a pace that I was very comfortable with. I had no idea, I had no team, I had no product. But this part I knew, that if I was going to dedicate the next part of my life, I wanted to solve a big problem. I wanted to make a big impact. Then came the tragedy that provided purpose to my passion. My grandmother in the United States fell down. 3 days later, she died. If only we knew how strong that impact was, we would have rushed her to the ER. Maybe we could have saved her life. Who knows? That's how I found out the problem I needed to solve. And how big is this problem? Every year, 270 million people will fall down around the world. In Japan alone, 80% of all emergency calls are because of elderly people falling down. Our product, the Simple Wave, will automatically detect a fall and notify emergency response. It will send out the strength of impact, your location, and vital information to your caregivers. It will provide peace of mind when you need it the most. Building a company taught me a lot of things. Entrepreneurship will demand everything you have got to give, and that won't be enough. You will need the help of everyone around you. Your friends, your family, your community. And this is why I invited my friends and family here today. Without them, Simple Wearables won't be where we are today. Today, I see dots connecting. My desire to become a doctor is now being fulfilled through technology. Technology moves at my pace. And technology is how we're providing high-impact jobs back here in the Philippines. Philippine Science High School taught me that I could be an innovator. UCLA made me fall in love with technology. Stanford told me that I could change the world. But it took losing my grandma to teach me what big lesson I have to solve. My company is Simple Wearables. We provide peace of mind. This talk is dedicated to my last living grandmother, and I hope she'll be proud. Thank you very much.